to start with a, I would like to start with a quick background on what my research project is about. So I'm looking at using a material called microfibrillated cellulose, which is cellulose fibers broken down into smaller pieces, as an alternative to single-use plastic packaging. So this can be used either as a coating on a cardboard base or just as sheets of cellulose. So the good thing about this is that it's renewable, biodegradable and recyclable. So in many ways, it is a more sustainable alternative to plastic packaging or cardboard that has been coated with plastics, since this can be very difficult to recycle and can end up polluting the natural environment. For example, it can end up in the oceans. So an example of what this would be aiming to replace would be trays, coffee cups and straws that might be either made of plastic or coated with plastic. So public engagement is a process where researchers can share details of what they've found with the public. So this is really valuable because the public can learn more about what research is going on, but it's also really important that the public have got an opportunity to share what they think about what they've learned back with the researcher. So it involves the researcher talking to the public, but then also listening to what the public have to say. For example, they might have some new insights about ethics or some new ideas about applications for what the research can be used in. So for my activity, I wanted to create a socially distanced public engagement activity that I could share some details about what I was researching and maybe hear some views back from the public about what they thought about it. So I wanted to do this because most people are really aware of what's going on with plastic pollution. Most people know that plastic are polluting the environment and they really want to do something about it. So, but I think the problem is that lots of people feel that this is a lost cause and that the problem is already too bad and nothing can be done about it. So what I wanted to do is share some details of my research, which is based on reducing the amount of plastic produced, which can hopefully make people feel more hopeful about the future, that things are going on to help this problem. And it might make them more motivated to think about their own plastic habits, like, for example, reducing, reusing and recycling. So they know that they too can help the problem and that we can do something about it. But I also thought it would be interesting to hear back from the public about some of their perspectives on the problem and what they thought could be done about it. So an example of some public engagement I found that people had done on plastic pollution was that a group of researchers in Scotland had taken some students to remote beaches to collect plastic waste. And they then used this plastic waste in 3D printing to create decorations. I thought this is a really great example of making this problem more relevant to the lives of the students. So instead of it being like an abstract problem of plastic in the oceans, they were more aware, they could see with their own eyes what the problem was. And they also were given an innovative solution of what they could do about it, which in this case was using the plastic. In my case, the solution would be that they could replace some plastics with other more sustainable alternatives. So that is I wanted to make people aware of the existence of some of these alternatives, if not right now, that they may be available in the future to try and reduce this problem. So the audience I was looking at was secondary school and sixth form college students aged between 14 and 18. So I wanted to engage this audience because we all know that schools have been closed during the lockdown. So I thought it would be nice to provide an easily accessible activity that they could look at from home. And I know that public plastic pollution is a topic in the national curriculum. So I thought it would be beneficial for them to watch this video. It might help them learn some new things about it, make them more interested. And I also thought that Year 12 students, when applying for universities, could use this on their UCAS exam, on their UCAS forms as an example of how they've seen science research applied in the world and what they might want to do as scientists in the future. So we all know that this age group are normally really passionate about the environment. They really want to do something to help change the way things are. So I thought that they would be really interested in an engagement activity because we all know that young people really want to do things to help the environment. So I thought it might be interesting for them. And I was also hoping that maybe it will help inspire people to consider studying STEM or consider a future career in science or engineering, as they could see it as something that was like quite interesting and helping to solve problems in the real world. So my initial plan was that I wanted to create a short video that would be easily accessible to explain what my research project was about, and maybe including some simple practical demonstrations. So I wanted to measure the success of the video by seeing how many people have viewed it, looking at the comments on the video, but also I wanted to hear some more specific feedback, if possible, from science teachers and students. So I knew that I would definitely be able to make the video in the time frame, but possibly the evaluation might take longer, as this would depend on how easy it was to reach out to people and how long it took them to respond. So I had all the resources to make the video, and I was given some people to contact at the university who could help me upload it and help me do some publicising it. So I aim to complete making the video and sending out the emails asking for evaluation by the 15th of July, which I was able to do. So the video is now online. It's 3 minutes long, and it includes a short introduction into what my research project is about. I did manage to do some short practical demonstrations. So for example, I used a cheese string to model a cellulose fibre, and then broke it down into the smaller pieces to represent breaking a cellulose fibre down into microfibrils. I thought this would be a great visual demonstration of what I was trying to explain. It might make it more easy for people to understand what I was saying, and hopefully might help them remember it in the future. And so I also did another practical demonstration using nests of noodles. So I had a nest of thick whole wheat noodles to represent a sheet of regular paper. So in regular paper, the cellulose fibres are bonded together, but there's quite a lot of gaps between them. So this is like, I showed these as pores that oxygen and grease can easily diffuse through the paper. And I then had a nest of vermicelli noodles, which was made of much finer material, which packed together better, and the nest had much fewer gaps in between the noodles. So I used this to represent why a sheet made from microfibrillated cellulose will be a better barrier to oxygen and grease than regular paper, and why therefore is more useful in food packaging than paper is. Okay, so I have been working on getting some feedback from the video. So unfortunately I haven't had anything yet, but it's only been 2 weeks since I uploaded it. So hopefully soon some people will start to respond to my requests. So I contacted the EPS outreach people at the university if they could maybe publicise the video, and if they could possibly help me contacting with local schools. I also reached out to 2 local schools here in Cornwall to say that I had made the video, and I was working in a company based in St Austell in Cornwall, asking if they could possibly share it with their students. And I also asked if the science teachers could, if possible, send me some feedback on whether they thought the video was appropriate for this age group, whether they thought the students were interested in it. So hopefully we'll hear back soon. I also know a science teacher, so I sent them the video and asked if they could send me the same feedback when they could. So alongside this, I also decided to take part in I'm a Scientist. So this is because this is aimed at secondary school students. So it's the same age group. So I thought this would be a good activity to do alongside my video. So this mostly involved doing live chats that we can get involved with other scientists, teachers and students. So the students can ask you lots of questions. So mostly they ask you about what it's like to be a scientist, what your typical day is like, why you wanted to do science. But they can also ask you more specific questions about your research. So I did find out that a lot of students were very interested in what I was researching. They had lots of questions, they wanted to know a lot of things. So that was really great to know. So the valuation of this activity was a bit easier because it's by nature, it's quite interactive because you're chatting to the students. So as I said, lots of people were very interested in sustainable packaging. So I was able to tell them a bit more about what I was researching, but I could also maybe help them with things that they could do to help. So for example, using a reusable water bottle and bringing reusable plastic bags when they go shopping. And they also had some really interesting perspectives. So I had one student ask me that if we start using more paper and cardboard to make the cellulose, would this mean that it might lead to more deforestation? So I thought this was a really interesting point. So for my research, I had always planned that eventually it will end up being made from either from recycled sources or from sustainably managed forests. So it reminded me that it's really important to point this out when I'm describing this to people, that this is an important issue. And it's also inspired me that maybe in the future, my research project, I can look at if we can use more recycled material to use as a base for coating with the cellulose, to see if this can work, because it would be a great way to make this recyclable alternative to plastic, but to make sure it hasn't come from deforestation. So changes for the future, more promotion is needed for the YouTube video. At the moment, this has been a bit difficult, but I hope that people will have seen my emails, and maybe when the students come back after the summer holidays, there will be more people will view it, and maybe I'll have some feedback. I was also thinking I could possibly ask the I'm a Scientist team if they could share the link with some teachers, since they will have links with lots of different schools. It would be nice if I could use the skills I've gained from doing these activities, if I can maybe do a visit to a school in the future, maybe show them my practical demonstrations and talk about my research project.
1 minute, Robyn.
Oh, thank you. So for me, this has really helped me to explain my research project in a concise and simple way, which is definitely going to be helpful for the future when I'm speaking in company events or at university or speaking to the public. It was great to hear from the public, and they're really interested in this area of research, and it was great to hear what perspectives they have. So hopefully I managed to share with them that research is ongoing and that this is not a lost cause. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
That was lovely, thank you. John, Lauren, do you want to ask any quick questions? I've obviously got some, but...
You go first then. Okay, I'm going to put my glasses on to read my notes.
So I was going to ask you a couple of bits about evaluation. So you haven't heard back from any of the teachers or anything yet, but was there anything that you've reflected on that you would improve? Is there anything that you're expecting to come out of that?
I'm hoping that they probably won't have heard of this. I don't think they would have heard of this before. So hopefully they'll find it interesting. I don't know whether maybe, I hope that I explained what I was trying to say quite well in the video, but it is like some of the concepts are a bit complicated. So I guess some people might not have understood it. So maybe I could have aimed it like slightly older school students, I suppose.
Cool. I'll go Lauren.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. It was really interesting to hear about your research and also the project that you did. I have a question about the specifics. So you said could you talk to me about how many views the videos had and how many maybe students you came into contact with via the I'm a Scientist, Get Me Out Here?
The video has not had very many views yet. Last time I looked, it was like 20 or something like that. I think lots of people haven't seen it yet. Hopefully more people will see it as time goes on. That would be good. I did contact a lot of different people on the I'm a Scientist chat. You can book chats, like they have one every day. So I did at least 10, I think. So I chatted with lots of different classes of students, which was good.
Great, thank you.
Go, John.
I'm not even going to do the virtual raising hand. I'm just, yeah. It's really, Robyn, well done. I really enjoyed that. It's a topic close to my heart. 20 years ago, I was on a beach in Thailand cleaning up plastic there with a bag that I found because I was gutted to see in the state that it was. It's obviously difficult building up that really instant audience, as you could probably imagine with 20 views. Are you on Twitter or other social medias?
Not really.
No.
Yeah, not really. I do have friends that have Twitter, so I could ask them if they could maybe promote it for me.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing, but it's a really useful, just feeding back on that, it's a really useful place to be able to find teacher meets. There are a number of Facebook groups and Twitter chats that happen. The ASC, the Association of Science Educators, they are basically teachers that have a regular chat online during time, virtually on Twitter and things like this. So what are your plans going forward for engaging in a professional way on those kind of things?
Yeah, so hopefully I can try and get some more publicity for the video. That would be good. But I also know that the Wellcome Trust do like the Brilliant Club, where you can go to local schools and have like a little focus group of students. So I know things are difficult at the moment, but maybe after Christmas, I was thinking that that could be a nice thing to do.
Yeah, that's probably a realistic time frame, to be honest, after Christmas for actual on-site visits. But good work on preparing something virtually. I love the fact that you actually recognised that socially distancing was a thing, and that, you know, trying to turn up to a school wasn't going to work. So well done for that. I think that you've done great.
Yeah, it was really, really good project. And I was really impressed as well how clearly you thought about the needs of the audience, the links to the curriculum, and also what the benefit was for them. Why were they going to engage this? It was really nice to see that come through clearly.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions, or should we give Robyn a break?
Well, I'm intrigued, because obviously when you signed up for the module, COVID-19 wasn't a thing, I imagine. So I just wondered how it changed your plans. Did you have any ideas for engagement projects that you weren't able to deliver in the same way, and was this just an evolution of it? I'm just interested in how it changed.
I actually signed up for the video after the COVID crisis happened, because Yaneth from Chemical Engineering sent an email around. I wasn't aware of the module before, and then I saw Yaneth's email and I thought I would like to do it. But if there hadn't been the problem, I think I would have liked to visit. There's 2 schools in the town where I'm placed, so I would have liked to visit one of them and kind of discuss what I was researching. And I think it's nice because in Cornwall, there's not very many science research places. Like, people aren't really exposed to like research very much. It would be nice to like explain to kids that this is happening like where they live, and that like there's like opportunities for them for the future.
Go on, John.
Brilliant. Just going back to the I'm a Scientist questions, did you manage to capture all the questions around this research topic that the students used? I don't know, you've obviously got a moderator in the room. I don't know whether you managed to copy and paste as much of the conversation as you did.
I didn't actually, but I do think that they have records of them, because I know that they published some of them, so I could possibly ask them if they could send me some of the chats I was in.
I think that would be a great way to be able to look at in the absence of the teacher feedback, to get the feedback of those conversations from the students. I think is gold. How would you, as a further thing from that, how would you go about capturing the messages that they sent you, not just the actual wording, but the essence of what they were trying to say and what their concerns, and how would you go about displaying that further down the line, sharing that?
It would be nice to try and represent it like visually, because generally they ask like quite similar questions. Like I said, lots of them were asking me about what it was like to be a scientist, and like how did I decide I want to be a scientist. But lots of them that were asking me more specifically about what I was doing, it was always the same kind of area. So it's mostly like, what can I do personally to help? Why do we have such a big problem with plastics, and like what is it about what you make that makes it better than plastic? So it would be nice if I could kind of represent that with pictures somehow. Not really sure exactly, but could represent some of the ideas, like I guess like pictures of what we've got, the problems we have now, like waste on the beaches and stuff like that, and what we want in the future, which is like more sustainable alternatives.
Brilliant, thank you. That's great.
Yeah, I think it'd be lovely if you could sort of categorize those issues, and then, you know, make like an infographic or something like that, so that you can see the relative. That would be fascinating. I think for I'm a Scientist, the reports that they send you are based on the questions that are sent through the platform rather than in the chat. So I don't know, this is going back a few years since I last did it. Yeah, quite a few years actually. I don't know if they analyse the chat, but it's definitely worth asking them.
Okay.
Yeah, worth a shot.
Okay, thank you.
Don't worry about it. It sounds frightening, but it isn't actually. This is where you start to realise that you've got more data than you thought you had. That's a gift. That's a joy. That is. Well done.
Yeah, and then the last thing I thought of to say was just also to keep your eyes peeled as well. There's lots of like science video competitions and things like that. So you should definitely keep your eyes peeled for opportunities like that to send it out and maybe win something. That would be good.
Yeah, that would be nice. Okay, thank you.
Cool. Lovely. Well, with that, I'll let you go. Thanks ever so much again. What a great project. And thank you, panelists, as well. I'll see you guys again in a minute.
Nice to meet you, Robyn.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.